you please convene the Committee on Institutional Advancement?
Will the Committee on Institutional Advancement please come to order? We will now hear public comment for those who signed up to address agenda items coming before the committee. Speakers will have 3 minutes each. Will Garrett Wilhelm and Esme Hakobian please come to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you, trustees. My name is Garrick Wilhelm. I'm a student at San Francisco State University and represent the nearly 30,000 students who attend there as Vice President of External Affairs and Associated Students. Students at SF State express sincere appreciation for the donation of Chris Larson in honor of the Lamb family, for which the College of Business is proposed to be renamed. It is an important contribution that we hope will more closely tie our programs with the tech sector that are the hallmark of the San Francisco Bay Area. In many ways, San Francisco State is much more influential in the social justice heart of San Francisco than it is in the tech sector. One, however, is not a threat to the other, and we believe that social justice is at the heart of truly successful business education. Chris Larson and his family are an example of this. Even as we welcome these contributions, our students still struggle with obtaining an education while living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Some of the disclosures of cost of attendance and the way student fees have been kept artificially low present the picture of a college that is more affordable than it actually is, at the sacrifice of student services that students need to be successful in such a difficult environment. One of the sacrifices has been mental health counselors. Previously, mental health counseling was funded by the campus general budget, but some years ago, the budget item was moved under the student health services fee. That fee hasn't kept pace with the needed services, and struggling students are the ones that suffer. We are working now to increase that fee, to increase the number of counselors, and help provide basic needs case management. This is a problem, however, shared by all CSU students. While the legislature is working on providing funding for mental health in CSU, the system should not wait for a problem to become so bad that the legislature must act. Many policies about how student and mental health services operate in the CSU keep them isolated from the broader healthcare community and disconnected from the funding sources that could be helping provide these services. It is time for the administrators of the system to step up to the plate and change the system to help us get a different result. The amazing students of the CSU deserve the best system of care that we can provide so that they have the wellness they need to be successful as the future leaders and community builders of California.
Hello, my name is Ejmin Hakobian, and I'm here to share my personal opinion. In academic year 2015-2016, President Covino and Chancellor White decided to increase the enrollment of our campus significantly, and the campus population increased to 28,000, I believe, from 22,000. And later on, the same year, I asked President Covino, because he has a devastating impact till today, on the infrastructure and services, financial aid, parking. And we had petitions. We voted no confidence on him. He retaliated by freezing our budget. I reported all of those to the Chancellor's office, to the auditors, to the HR, and completely ignored. For the past year, I've been coming here trying to educate you on all of this again, and you have ignored it. I asked you to contact me so I can share more detail. You ignored that. This year, again, a new group of students voted no confidence on President Covino on exact same issues, plus impaction. Impaction, it's going to make Chancellor White and President Covino look good because they're going to increase the standards for GPA, and obviously that's going to increase the graduation rate on our campus. It's not going to fix the undermining problem of the CSU and the Cal State LA, incompetent leadership. That's the problem. The students voted no confidence, took it to the Academic Senate. The Academic Senate is run by Veena Prabhu. She didn't offer any public forum, and so the students were forced to ask board members to delegate time to them to speak. After she gave time to few students and alumni and faculty for and against the position, as soon as the position to support President Covino's presidency, there were no one else to speak, she cut it off. No public forum, and did not allow the rest of the students waiting there to speak. And again, with that, there was a 50-50 vote, and obviously the chair broke the tie in support of President Covino. The former chair speak highly of President Covino. She's the same chair, Nancy Walter Press. She's been rewarded. She's a dean now. And that's how we get to where we are. Our school has gone through a purge of deans and administrators who had conscience, and now we are where we are now. And it seems like the Chancellor's Office and President Covino are totally ignorant of this problem. And today, I will be repeatedly asking for Chancellor White and President Covino to resign. We need a leadership that understands our community and is not going to ignore the student voice as it happened today. I'll share more at the next talking point. Thank you.
Thank you for the remarks. It's now time for the committee to consider today's consent agenda. Are there any objections to the approval of the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. On the discussion agenda, we have 3 action items and 1 information item. The first action item is an academic naming request from Cal State San Marcos. Vice Chancellor Garrett Ashley, will you present the request?
Thank you, Trustee Furstenberg. This item will consider naming the CSU Institute for Palliative Care as the Shiley CSU Institute for Palliative Care. This is a system-wide institute located at Cal State San Marcos. The proposed naming recognizes total commitments of $6 million by Mrs. Darlene Marcos Shiley and the Shiley Foundation. All newly committed funds will support the CSU Institute for Palliative Care. I'd now like to turn this over to President Haynes to say a few words.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Ashley. Darlene Shiley has been a generous and highly regarded philanthropist for decades, not only regionally, but also nationally. She supports a wide range of important causes, including the arts, community services, education, and health and scientific research. Darlene's name is likely a familiar one to fans of PBS Masterpiece Theater, which she has generously supported for many years. Her support of education encompasses K through 12 schools, as well as many colleges and universities, healthcare, the arts, theater. We at CSUSM are grateful that she has been a champion of our university. In fact, her first gift happened during our very first meeting in 2004. Today, she is our campus's largest donor, with gifts totaling $6 million. Her passion for healthcare has led her to become the most prolific supporter of the CSU Institute for Palliative Care, which CSUSM proudly launched in 2012. As you earlier heard, the Institute for Palliative Care has exceeded our own expectations in all metrics, in large part due to Darlene's philanthropy, allowing us to move more quickly and much more innovatively, thanks to ongoing support. I will never forget how Darlene surprised all of us at the Institute's public launch in September 2012, when she announced an unexpected $1.2 million gift. While the gift was a surprise, what was not was that I knew of her personal experience with end-of-life care and her appreciation for palliative care. Her gift was an important step forward in our quest to address the critical shortage of professionals with palliative care training, while also educating the public about the value of palliative care and how to access it. Darlene did not stop there. She gave an additional $1.8 million in March 2015 in support of the Institute during our university's first comprehensive fundraising campaign, which ended in December. Darlene surprised me once again in April with a phone call to propose her most recent gift of $2.6 million for the Institute. It will be another transformational gift to allow the CSU Institute for Palliative Care to continue to be the national leader in educating the present and future workforce and the community, to assure that this important work that touches us all can continue, will expand, and will eventually help change healthcare delivery nationally. Finally, during this same telephone conversation, she once again surprised me as was her intention, by her request to eventually include my name with hers on this institute. I am honored to bring this naming opportunity to you today and truly humbled that my name might be linked with hers and with this institute in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, President Haynes. The naming of the Shiley CSU Institute for Palliative Care at California State University, San Marcos is an action item before the Committee on Institutional Advancement. Only committee members may vote at this time. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The naming of the Shiley CSU Institute for Palliative Care is approved. President Haynes, would you escort Mrs. Shiley to the lectern where she will be joined by the Chancellor and the Chair?
Hello, young lady. Hello. Oh, good. Well, as you've learned, the legacy of giving established by the Shiley Foundation is nothing short of awe-inspiring. And it's really, Darlene, your generous and compassionate vision and that of your late husband, Donald, continues to be realized in consequential ways as we've discussed this morning, and I won't repeat here this any further. But this initial gift that really launched, and Karen Haynes just went through the sequential gifts and how it both launched and inspired and created this institute, is really quite a remarkably important story. And Peter, you also, I think, hit it right on the head about sort of the core DNA of the California State University and its value to California and to Californians that we work day and night to continue to do. So Darlene is a San Jose State graduate. Proud to have you one of the 3.7 million, as am I. Also, however, even more proud to call you a friend. And thank you for allowing us to honor your legacy, and wonder if you have a few words to share with everybody.
Just happened to have with me. Thank you, Chancellor. This is a historic occasion. I never read from a prepared script, but I was threatened, and I'm going to do it exactly sort of as written. I'm proud to be a graduate of San Jose State, to have helped and to have received an honorary doctorate from the Cal State University system. Someone told me that I beat out Al Gore, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me to think that might be true. Okay, that's it. Now, okay, Kathy, I'm reading from the prepared script. As a longtime advocate for dignified health care, I know firsthand the importance of palliative care and the growing need for this particular care. To have watched my late husband, Donald, a renowned artificial heart valve inventor, decline over 4 years was truly devastating. Still devastating, apparently. But we both personally experienced the benefits of palliative care during this period. And as I quickly learned, palliative care isn't just for those who are afflicted. It's also for the loved ones and caregivers of people dealing with serious or chronic illness. The CSU Institute for Palliative Care is providing the necessary skills and tools that our healthcare professionals need, while also building critical awareness of palliative care. You would be amazed at how many people don't understand the nature of that kind of care. In 2012, when I learned that Cal State San Marcos would be the home for the CSU Institute for Palliative Care, I applauded the university and President Karen Haynes and Chancellor White. I had to add that part because Kathy didn't have it in here. I applauded all of them for taking on a project that was smart, compassionate, and greatly needed. You are all advancing innovation in a crucial area through this institute. I hope you understand and realize the depth of the importance of that. People often talk about making a difference, and it's a phrase that certainly resonates for me when I think about my husband. I am carrying on his legacy, and together we were proud supporters of many regional and national organizations to improve lives and communities. And since his passing, I have remained dedicated to ensuring that our legacy of philanthropy continues. It was Donald's goal that our entire estate would go to charity after we were both gone. I do recall asking him if we could maybe keep some of it to keep going on until we were both gone and it all went to charity. And he said that was a great idea. And I also suggested that we start giving it away before we were dead. And he thought that was a sensational idea and said, why don't you handle that? If I had known then how much work was entailed, I might have said, gee, that's a really crummy idea, and I don't think I'll do that. Obviously, this part's not written by Kathy. Okay, back to the script. It is an honor to provide support that helps the Institute, this particular institute, bring ideas to life and find solutions to real problems. I'm grateful for the CSU's ongoing support of the Institute as it works to meet the growing need of healthcare professionals with palliative care skills. Each day, the Institute, I've seen it, I've watched it, I know it, increases the access and education of the current and future healthcare professionals while continuing to build the awareness advocacy. I also want to express my extreme gratitude for President Haynes' exceptional, and I do mean exceptional, support of this important endeavor. With a background in social work, she immediately understood the program content and collaboration required to make the Institute a success, and I look forward to eventually seeing her name alongside mine on the Institute as the Shiley Haynes Institute of Palliative Care. And no, it's not going to be the Haynes Shiley because I said so, and that's pretty much how it's going to be, folks. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Besides that, I know it doesn't follow alphabetically, but I'm sorry, Karen. We're going with it. It is truly, I'm sorry, I have a terrible sense of humor. It is truly a privilege to be part of this very, very important effort. I make light of it only because I'm so nervous, and having experienced what it was like to watch my husband over those 4 years, knowing that I had all the money in the world I could possibly need and knowing that there was no way to bring him back. I understand this program. And I look forward to the program benefiting others the way that I have. And I guess in conclusion, I would just like to say, Chancellor White, I apologize for not bringing the Gullwing Red Bomber driving it this time. And you'll just have to come back to San Marcos in order to get another ride in it. Thank you all very much. Oh, you're not going to read the whole thing, are you?
So I think you just heard about the golden rule. She who has the gold makes the rules. A series of whereases. In conclusion, resolved by the Board of Trustees of the California State University that the California State University Institute for Palliative Care, located on the Cal State University San Marcos campus, be named the Shiley CSU Institute for Palliative Care, dated today, signed by the board chair and myself. Shirley, thank you so very much, Charlene.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
take some
you.
pictures.
I'm consensually touching you.
Turn it down a little bit. Turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, Karen. Not tone it down, turn it down. They don't let me out very often. Fantastic, thank you.
Oh, yes.
Roberta.
Roberta.
Trustee Emerita.
Oh, God. Oh. I know, a few moments of prayer.
Timmy, should I slide over this a little more than
Can we should
bring forward?
I've seen that done in movies where everybody works. Oh, okay. They're going to send it to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Can't do much better than that. The second action item is a facility naming request from Cal State Long Beach. Vice Chancellor Astley, will you present the request?
Thank you, Trustee Furstenberg. This item will consider naming the University Art Museum at Cal State Long Beach as the Carolyn Campagna Kleefeld Contemporary Art Museum. The proposed naming of the facility recognizes the $10 million contribution by Carolyn Campagna Kleefeld to the College of the Arts at Cal State Long Beach. The gift will be used to support the museum through capital improvements that will expand current museum space to include the Carolyn Campagna Kleefeld Gallery, the addition of a print and drawing room, the creation of an endowment for the museum, and an endowed scholarship fund. I'd like to now turn this over to Vice President Michelle Cheska to say a few words. Michelle.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Ashley. I am pleased to be here today on behalf of our president, Jane Close Connolly. She is sorry she can't join us today, but we are conducting the first day of our commencement ceremonies. So she is just starting on her road to commencing and graduating 11,000 students at Cal State Long Beach. Today, we recognize a transformative gift to Cal State Long Beach that will fund capital improvements and enhancements to our art museum, create programs and scholarship endowments, and care for collections, also gifted by the donor, Carolyn Campagna Kleefeld. Carolyn is an award-winning poet, writer, and visual artist whose vast portfolio includes an extensive and diverse body of paintings and drawings, ranging in style from expressionist to abstract to figurative. We are so inspired by her and thankful for this wonderful new relationship that will enrich our university and the role of the arts on campus while celebrating the legacy of such an important figure in California art. Carolyn is unfortunately unable to join us today, but she did ask that I share some comments with you. So now from Carolyn. A profound circle has magically manifested. When my parents, S. Mark and Amelia Taper, came to this country from England with my brother, sister, and myself, we first stayed for some time at the Biltmore Hotel in Long Beach, and later my father began his extensive housing for veterans there. So now for my life's work to be part of the Long Beach community is a destiny fulfilled. As I express in my artistic statement, ultimately art is an innocent interaction, mirror of my most innermost process, whisking me out of time and into the timeless. My life's passion is to create art from this unconditioned well of being and to inspire such a journey in others. Thus, to have my art and writing in this educational setting is a dream realized, and my aspiration is for the students and visitors to the university to embark on their own journeys of inner discovery and creative expression, learning from my own experimental, Zen-like explorations. My deep gratitude to the team at Cal State Long Beach for their guiding efforts to make this gift a reality. I particularly want to acknowledge Cyrus Parker Jeanette, Dean of the College of the Arts, Michelle Cheska, Brian Laver, and Kevin Crow from the Development Office. In this remarkable effort, we also had guidance early on from Michael Lasquadro at the Chancellor's Office and Brian Trimble. As this project grows and takes shapes, there are many other people across campus who I also thank, who are assuring my legacy and that the donation enhances the future of the Art Museum and all associated programs. Of course, too, I have deep appreciation for my own team, Georgia Freeman Harvey and Patricia Holt, who have so professionally and passionately represented my interests. This is a momentous day, and I look forward to being a part of many future celebrations. And we certainly thank Carolyn for her words. A special thank you to the Board of Trustees and to Chancellor White for inviting me here today to share this exciting gift to us and express our gratitude to Carolyn for her transformational gift. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank to all of you who made this possible. The Carolyn Campagna Kleefeld Contemporary Art Museum at California State University, Long Beach is an action item before the Committee on Institutional Advancement. Only committee members may vote. May I have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The naming is approved. The third action. And we have a third. The third action item is an academic naming request from San Francisco State. Vice Chancellor Ashley, you're up again.
Thank you, Trustee Furstenberg. This item will consider naming the College of Business at San Francisco State as the Lamb Family College of Business. The proposed naming recognizes the $25 million gift by alumnus Chris Larson, his spouse Lena Lamb, and Ripple Works Foundation to the College of Business at San Francisco State. This gift will be used to create the Ripple Works Endowed Chair for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the Lamb Larson Endowed Chair in Financial Technology, and the Lamb Larson Fund for Global Innovation, which will create 5 new initiatives: innovation and entrepreneurship, emerging and developing economies, financial technology, business and education technology, and workforce of the future. I now turn this over to President Wong to say a few words.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Ashley. I'm very honored to say a few words about Chris Larson and his wife, Lena, as the Board of Trustees prepare to vote on the naming of San Francisco State University's College of Business to the Lamb Family College of Business. This is an important and historic occasion for San Francisco State for a couple of reasons. First, the naming would make it the first named college in San Francisco State University's history. And second, this gift of $25 million in cryptocurrency is the largest of its kind to any university in the United States. I understand I could use the word world at this moment. As Garrett mentioned earlier, today's naming is in recognition of Chris Larson and his wife, Lena Lamb. Chris is a San Francisco State alum with a long history of generous support of his alma mater. He was the first in his family to attend college and graduated in 1984 with not only 1, but 3 bachelor's degrees in accounting, finance, and international business. In 2012, Chris co-founded Ripple, a global blockchain company, and today is seen as a leading authority and visionary on digital assets. He was the co-founder of Prosper, the first peer-to-peer lending marketplace in the United States. Lena is active in the Bay Area community, having founded the Wat Kampuchea Kram, a Khmer Buddhist temple foundation in the South Bay. Today's naming is in honor of Chris's in-laws, in particular his father-in-law, Quang Lam, and you will hear more about him from Chris in just a few moments. This $25 million gift will have a lasting impact on San Francisco State University by establishing the Chris Larson and Lena Lamb funds for the College of Business, including 2 endowed chairs in financial technology and entrepreneurship, as well as a fund for global innovation. Chris and Lena's generosity will build the university's focus on innovation-oriented learning and professional development and allows students from all the colleges to participate and collaborate on entrepreneurial projects. It was Chris's insistence, by the way, that his gift be used in interdisciplinary approaches to digital assets and technologies. In essence, these funds will guide these students in becoming innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders in these fields, enabling them to become change makers in business and their own communities. Now, if you could direct your attention to the screen, I'm pleased to share with you this video from Chris Larson.
Hello, everybody. First of all, we're really sorry we couldn't be there in person, but we would like to thank the Board of Trustees for letting us talk to you here today. Obviously there's been a lot in the news lately about elite university scandals. I think the most important thing that shows all of us is why it's so critical that we support the state university system and places like SF State. SF State's got a 70% acceptance rate. It's giving students who most can benefit from a great education the ability to move forward in their careers. And it's still really the bargain of the century. Obviously not quite the bargain as when I was there in the 80s, when it was like a couple $100 a year, basically free. Hopefully as a society we can get there again soon. But going to state, it made a huge difference in my life. And it made a huge difference in my extended family's lives, including my brother-in-law who graduated from SF State, my sister-in-law who graduated from SF State, and my nephew who is currently a student there. If it wasn't for the affordability and the accessibility of state, none of us would be in the fortunate position that we're in today. And that's why we're so happy that the College of Business at SF State is considering naming that college the Lamb Family College of Business. That's actually in honor of another family member, my father-in-law, Quan Lam. Now, Quan did not have the opportunity to go to SF State. He was too busy saving his family from the tragic war in Cambodia. Now, this is a guy that basically carried his 5 small children all the way across Cambodia right after the fall of the Khmer Rouge, clearly the most dangerous place in the world at that time. And he succeeded in getting them to a refugee camp in Thailand where they lived for 2 years. And thankfully, Quan was knowledgeable enough to get him to the right camp, or they never would have got to the US. That was followed by another year in a refugee camp in the Philippines where they learned English. And that was followed by many years in a housing project here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Now that guy, Quan, he took every miserable job you can possibly imagine to get his family the American success story. And he succeeded at that. And that's why we think he's such a great example of everything that SF State and the state university system stands for. And that is really, no matter how successful you become in life, and here I'm thinking about other alums like Mayor Brown, George and Judy Marcus, incredibly successful people, but because they went to state, everybody knows they did it the hard way. And that's something we're really, really proud of, and that's why we're so happy to be supporting the state university system. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President Wong. What a brilliant presentation. And what an exciting day. What an exciting day. Did you want to say something? Please.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, I have a question for you about this gift because it is the largest gift of cryptocurrency that anyone's ever seen before. What was your process as you evaluated this gift in terms of having a sense of what the exchange rate would be between dollars and cryptocurrency? What are the constraints surrounding conversion into dollars? And was there sort of an analysis of the implications of accepting a gift like this in validating the value of a currency that doesn't belong to a nation state? So I don't know if you have these answers to these questions. I'm just really quite curious about it and the historical nature of this gift.
Those are good questions, and I think as a lifelong learner, I have been learning a lot about cryptocurrencies and the whole blockchain processes that occur. We've been lucky that Chris is such a wonderful alum and supporter of the university. He actually guaranteed the minimum value at $25 million. Currently, and my vice president for advancement over here is Venetia Thompson. She is actually becoming quite an expert in the conversion of cryptocurrencies. Interestingly enough, Chris doesn't refer to it as a cryptocurrency. He actually talks about it as a conversion process blockchain to move money across borders in milliseconds. And as you would expect, because the closest identity to that kind of transfer is cryptocurrencies, it currently is ranked among the more stable and successful, along with two other well-known cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it does experience some volatility. We have seen it, his assets, well, not his assets, but also the gift grow from the original his down payment, if you may, on the gift. The gift now currently is approaching its minimum value, and we expect it to actually exceed it significantly. It does take a lot of homework, and we do think that we did a sufficient amount of our due diligence, especially with Chris's guarantee that despite the volatility, he would guarantee the $25 million. And, you know, it's really been interesting because a lot of major schools are now looking into cryptocurrency gifts. And so Venetia, who's becoming quite an expert, gets calls from around the United States about our homework and what we did. But it is, you know, you have to think about currency differently. Chris himself, when we were learning and he was teaching me about it, I said, well, Chris, like, how do I go down to the corner and get a hamburger with this, right? And he goes, well, Les, you might be able to buy the whole restaurant, but you probably couldn't buy a hamburger with this. And he was teasing me because you have to think about money as an exchange medium rather than a purchasing and selling kind of thing. And we're still learning. Some of your questions are central to the way we monitor the gift. And we're confident that it's transformational value for our students in terms of them becoming experts themselves in studying currencies and blockchain technologies. I think will make our School of Business a premier program. And I can't think of anything more transformative than to alter the curriculum of a finance program, for example, or an innovation program funded as Chris is helping us do. I don't know, Venetia, if you wanted to offer any.
Well, I guess, thank you for having me. I guess what I would add is, which most folks are interested in knowing, is kind of how much do you have in the bank? And so we've been slowly liquidating the cryptocurrency, the XRP, and to date we have close to 18 million of the 25 million in hand in terms of cash. We have to liquidate at a certain rate. We can't flood the market. And so we, because this could destabilize the market, so we've been liquidating at about 3 bips per week in terms of average, up to that amount. And so we're very confident we will have the 25 million, if not more, because it's projected to go up during the summer to maybe about $1 or $2. So we're hopeful we'll have more than 25 million at the end of the day. Thank you.
If I could offer some context, when Ms. Thompson says $1 or $2, it's currently it's one of the highest rates at 30 cents. And so if you imagine a market that goes from that value to $2, the value of the gift is remarkable.
Thank you for that question. I had read the press release, and when I saw guaranteed, I couldn't understand the rest of it. Very, very exciting. The Lamb Family College of Business at San Francisco State University is an action item before the Committee on Institutional Advancement. Only committee members may vote. May I have a motion? Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? The naming of the Lamb Family College of Business is approved. And if you think about these three naming gifts, one in healthcare, one in the arts, one in business, it's again an example of the range of value and influence of this system. The final item is an informational presentation on system-wide and campus communication by Vice Chancellor Garrett Ashley, Assistant Vice Chancellor Mark Woodland, and President Fram Vergy. I apologize for everyone because I asked them to do this, so settle in. And I know how much time and effort it's taken, so I thank you very much in advance.
Well, thank you, Trustee Furstenberg. I appreciate that. And of course, at your request, we are, as you said, presenting information today about the structure and activities of the Communications and Public Affairs team, which is part of the University Relations and Advancement Division, along with Government Relations, Advancement, and Executive Writing. Since this is the first time communications is presented to this board, I thought it might be helpful to start with an overview of the scope and purpose of the department. Communications is comprised of 25 people spread across 3 teams. Creative Services, where you'll find writers, editors, graphic artists, marketing specialists, printers, and a photographer, videographer. Web Services, which includes developers, content creators, and designers. And Public Affairs, home to social media experts and media relations professionals. By its very nature, the communications team works closely with campus colleagues in what is best described as a synergistic relationship. On the one hand, the team here provides information and messaging about system-wide topics like budget, government policies, and crisis communications to our campus coworkers, as well as providing templates, toolkits, marketing materials, and original content. On the other hand, the campuses generate news and stories that we often use to showcase the impact, value, and importance of the CSU. Equally helpful, they provide us with insight on how policies and actions are resonating at a local and regional level. We create and foster these synergies in order to maximize our resources and to build awareness of the California State University. The department's primary role is to increase awareness of the value of the California State University among all Californians and advance the reputation of the CSU among key external and internal audiences. These audiences are key deciders and influencers, state and federal government leaders, significant business and civic leaders, peers in California's education community, and internal groups within the university. To achieve that goal, we work closely with our campus colleagues. Understandably, the unique story of the CSU comes from the students, faculty, staff, and alumni. In those campus-based examples, we find the common themes that illustrate the CSU's mission. The university's commitment to providing opportunities for personal growth, its promise to prepare our graduates for success in their careers and their communities, the CSU's focus on ensuring a high-quality academic experience, and our institution's role in providing leadership throughout California. Of course, each campus has its own particular story to share with its unique audiences, but they do so in concert with the broader themes and strengths of the California State University system, and you'll hear more of that soon from President Vergy. It might also be helpful to understand the difference between the communications team here and our counterparts on the campuses. For example, campus communicators are often involved in marketing activities that elevate the profile of the campus within local communities. They implement campaigns for student recruitment and retention purposes, build affinity with K-12 schools and community colleges in their areas, engage with campus alumni, or develop fundraising communications. At the Chancellor's Office, our priority is to share the story of the CSU with key audiences and increase the likelihood of their supporting the university, but no specific communications efforts are directed at fundraising or other activities handled more directly by campus-based communicators. This division of duties ensures audiences receive information about the system and their local campus in the most efficient and effective ways, while reducing the risk of contradiction or confusion. With that as a foundation, let me turn to Mark Woodland, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Communications and Public Affairs, for an overview of past and present activities as well as a forecast of what we plan to come. Mark?
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Ashley. I'm happy today to share with you a sampling of the ways the Communications Department works to increase awareness and further enhance the reputation of the CSU among key audiences. To be respectful of our time, I'll highlight just a few instances of what we've done and what we're doing, and conclude with what we're planning for the future. Let me begin with a short review of past efforts. You might recall the award-winning Class of 3 Million promotion, which was created in collaboration with our colleagues in Alumni Relations. This system-wide campaign highlighted the breadth and depth of the university's alumni and their collective role in the state's economic well-being and prosperity. In addition to these activities, the communications team created the graphic design for the Cal State Apply website and the design, navigation, and development of the calstate.edu website. These sites, along with the websites of many affinity groups associated with the Cal State University, assures the CSU remains front and center for the many visitors who seek information about our institution on a daily basis. Just last year, we worked with our colleagues in advocacy and state relations to create and bring to life the theme of the CSU as the key to California's future. This included web work, social media activities, news releases, printed material, even assisting with the design and production of the key distributed on Social Media Advocacy Day to state government leaders in Sacramento. In the end, the Choose CSU hashtag was seen by nearly 2 million people over the course of that day. These represent just a fraction of the many activities the communications team has pursued over the past few years. More recently, we've worked closely with our colleagues in academic and student affairs to generate awareness of the Graduation Initiative 2025 and the university's commitment to addressing the need for college-educated graduates. This has included extensive work with local and regional media, as well as supportive communications material for programs and conferences, social media posts, and videography. Our efforts include working with campus colleagues to help communicate the initiative message to students, faculty, and staff. Each day, our team of public relations professionals and social media experts monitor and respond to media stories, even as they proactively generate stories and social posts. The team works with journalists and media representatives from around the state and from national media outlets and higher ed industry publications as well, responding to multiple media requests that often require considerable digging and vetting and putting journalists in touch with the best sources within the CSU. With the help of our campus colleagues, I believe we're having an impact. In the recent statewide survey on higher education conducted by the Public Policy Institute of California, 65% of respondents gave an excellent or good rating to CSU, which is up from 56% in 2011's survey. As you might guess, social media has become a major tool of communications. We continue to expand our social media engagement to ensure we're reaching key audience members wherever they might be seeking news and information about the CSU. In just the past 2 years, the CSU's combined followers on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram have grown by 43%. These three platforms currently have more than 40,000 followers. And last year, posts from the CSU were seen across these platforms more than 10 million times. The social media staff here works to share the news coming out of the Chancellor's office, but also functions in many ways as a rebroadcaster of good news from individual campuses. Our goal is to paint a broader picture of the CSU by shining the social media spotlight on campus-based activities. The public affairs team also assists campus peers when crises occur, providing resources and suggested content for consistent messaging. In addition, we support our campus colleagues by ensuring they have system-wide messaging on topics ranging from the state budget to changes in federal laws and policies. And we help them share best practices, provide them with communications counsel, and serve as a conduit and network for cross-campus collaborations. Again, you'll hear more about that from President Vergy. As I mentioned earlier, our web team is deeply engaged in keeping our web presence updated, accurate, and accessible. Our externally facing calstate.edu website currently contains more than 16,000 pages and documents, while our system-wide intranet, CSU, encompasses some 3,800 pages with an additional 65,000 associated or linked documents. Web content creators are continually working to bring the CSU story to life through profiles of faculty, staff, alumni, and students, and through stories and videos that illustrate the ways the CSU benefits California. In fact, there were nearly 8 million visits to the calstate.edu website in 2018. Increasingly, messaging on the web is centering on video content. We are committed to increasing our video presence to reach and communicate with that growing audience, both within California and around the globe. I invite you to visit our Cal State YouTube channel to enjoy the content posted there. Other activities that reflect our involvement here include writing and producing the internal newsletter for the Chancellor's Office, assisting with a variety of communications activities that promote the CSU to key audiences, and working with colleagues to showcase and promote the excellence of faculty, staff, students, and alumni. It might be helpful to give you a slightly deeper dive on one project to show how the many skills within the communications department coalesce to communicate the story of the CSU. In August 2018, we launched a nearly year-long series of communications activities to highlight the CSU having a majority of women presidents. With the support of Trustees Furstenberg and Fong, these activities included volumes of new web content, video stories and audio essays, media pitches, speech writing, photography sessions, marketing activities, graphic design, web design and development, and event management. In short, every unit within the communications team came together to shine a bright light on this historic moment for the CSU, which culminated in a series of strategic meetings in Washington, D.C. as part of National Women's History Month in March. In fact, 75 posts about the women presidents placed on the CSU's 3 primary social media platforms were seen nearly 630,000 times over the course of this campaign. We are already deep at work with our colleagues in government relations and business and finance to hone our message for budget advocacy. We are remarkably fortunate to have Governor Newsom's support for increased funding, but want to continue to show legislative leaders how the CSU remains the key to California's brightest future and the key to the agenda Governor Newsom identified in his inaugural address. To help buttress our advocacy efforts, we plan to conduct a new economic impact study for the CSU. Our previous study occurred almost a decade ago, and we see benefits in producing a more current data set. Communicating the value and importance of the Graduation Initiative 2025 to key audiences remains a top priority, and our work going forward will continue to focus on media activities that bring to life the student success that is the heart of the initiative. And since the story of the California State University is a campus-centric story, we are planning for our second university-wide professional development forum for all CSU communicators in just 3 weeks. This second forum, like the inaugural event last year, welcomes anyone within the CSU who has communications as part of his or her job function. The forum provides an opportunity for professional development, a chance to share ideas and best practices, and a time for us to work with campus colleagues to build awareness of our commonalities and shared value as a system. One tactic that is in final development and vetting is a new online-only publication titled CS Universe. This electronic digest will illustrate the common themes that unite the CSU system using stories and profiles curated from campus publications and news sites across the CSU. We see this as a great way to expand the reach of amazing stories that might have otherwise been limited to individual campus audiences, as well as more consistently share the message of the California State University with key audiences like government leaders, business and community leaders, and internal audiences. Plans also call for CS Universe to include a special section we're calling simply 23. This section seeks a comment, a photo, a response, a statement, even a memory from one individual on each of the university's 23 campuses as a way to show both the diversity and the commonalities that truly are the California State University story. Vice Chancellor Ashley, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mark. Chair Furstenberg and board members, I hope this provides a sense of the communications team and their activities. Our efforts reflect a commitment to working with campus colleagues to tell the CSU story. To illustrate that synergy, we have asked President Vergy to share his perspective. Fran?
Thanks, Garrett. Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Mark, too. And thanks for the opportunity to speak with you today about this important topic, both at the system and the campus level. When Garrett asked me to chime in on the tail end of his presentation, I did something similar to what I did when Tim asked if I might like to go down to Fullerton. I jumped at the chance. I'm older, so there's not that much levitation, but there was measurable levitation, I promise. I jumped because, as all of you know, strategic and creative communications are essential to the success of a campus, and there's good reason for that. Like many new presidents in the CSU, my initial impressions of my campus were utter amazement at how many incredible things our faculty, staff, and students were doing, and doing exceptionally well. And like most presidents everywhere, my amazement soon gave way to a constant and persistent desire to share every point of Titan pride possible with anyone who would listen, and maybe with some people who didn't want to listen as well. And so to do that by any means necessary and with every tool at my disposal. And if you saw me rap, then you know I sometimes use tools that I probably should not have used at my disposal. But as wild as our Titan communications projects sometimes get, and they do get wild, they always track with the joint tenets of the CSU mission and the bold swagger, we like to call it, that Titans have earned. And therein lies the origin of the title of my presentation today: Shared Themes and Viral Memes, or Communicating with the CSU Synergy and Titan Swagger. Rather than going straight to my sweet spot, the Titan Swagger, I want to begin with the first of three main points that underscore our campus communication endeavors. First, our relationship with the Chancellor's Office on all our communication strategies is both synergistic and symbiotic. How synergistic are our branding efforts with the CSU? Well, if you visited the Chancellor's Office lately, and you have since you're here, then you know it's gotten pretty intense. Sorry for the F on the side of the building, Tim, but they assure me it will wash off in about 20 years. But to be serious, as everything we do at CSUF, when it comes to communications, our relationship with the Chancellor's Office is as strong as it is critical to our success. As you saw in Vice Chancellor Ashley's presentation, the CSU's key themes are drawn from the university's mission, and at Fullerton, our own pride points reflect those themes. Educational opportunity that demonstrates our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as affordability and access. Preparation of our graduates for success, not only in their first job, but in their long-term career as lifelong learners and contributors to their communities. Providing a high-quality academic experience with a focus on student success, and serving in and with their communities in leadership roles. These are the themes that are embedded in everything that we do. And the Chancellor's Office communications team does an excellent job of sharing news and information with us that both feeds and highlights these mission-focused principles. And then we, in turn, provide the Chancellor's Office with stories and content that illustrate those same principles. For example, last year, Chancellor White shared a document with the campus leaders entitled The CSU Commitment to Inclusive Excellence. It was a document informed by many conversations throughout the system, and it aimed to better draw the connection between our principles, policies, and practices as we strive for greater inclusive excellence. Once Chancellor White shared that document with us, I not only shared it with our community, with all our 45,000 Titans, but it inspired me to ask a group of faculty, staff, and students to write a joint letter about our own campus commitment to the tenets of inclusion and free speech. That letter went viral on our campus, and in doing so, brought many more eyes to Chancellor White's original communication, which you can see was attached to that campus letter. Together, these communications and the synergy born from them continue to be the foundation for some of our most important inclusion and free speech communications and endeavors. Another great example of our communication synergy with the CSU relates to our Graduation Initiative 2020-25 communications. The Chancellor's Office communication team shares messaging and social media strategies designed to elevate awareness of this initiative. We, in turn, then build on those efforts, creating our own campaign with a focus on Choose 15, our initiative to promote finishing in 4 years, a Graduation Initiative 2025 touchpoint that we are particularly focused on at CSUF. Further, our day-to-day communications are constantly informed by the mission of the CSU and are created synergistically with the CSU, with the Chancellor's Office. Examples include our crisis communications. In times of tragedy or our campus communications teams work in tandem with the Chancellor's Office to ensure all our students are safe and accounted for, to determine if and when the campuses should issue statements to the press, and to ensure all our talking points align. Then there's our advocacy communications. In these communications, we work together with the Chancellor's Office to create social media hashtags and other cross-campus communications and marketing ideas to promote both the CSU and to tell our Titan story to a wider audience. By the way, I still have those Stand With CSU socks. All of this support and the resulting communications not only enhance and inform the message that we share at Cal State Fullerton, but also create synergy with the Chancellor's Office that empowers all of us to communicate more effectively and collaboratively. And when these synergies are in place, we at the campus are free to blaze our own communication trail, which takes us to the second of my 3 points I'll hit today. Point 2 is the power and necessity of data-driven communication on our campus. At Cal State Fullerton, this data-driven communication process began with conducting comprehensive surveys that provided insights about communications that could help shape our brand and best support fundraising, student employment, recruiting and retention, and advocacy. After 2 far-reaching studies, 3 themes emerged as the most important things for our constituencies. First, celebrated reputation. This refers in no small part to our state and national rankings and to the achievements of our highest reaching faculty, staff, and students. Second, immersive experiences. This references our dedication to providing our students with high-impact practices, the experiential learning, and a rich diversity of perspectives and backgrounds that set us apart. And third, trusted results, which is where we share the achievements of our alumni and their impact on the state and on the national and global marketplace. And when all of those 3 things come together in a communication strategy, as they more often than not do, we have the epitome of what we call Titans reaching higher. For Cal State Fullerton, that is what we call data-driven communications. That's who we are, and that combined with our CSU synergies is the genesis of all our campus communications. Finally, and yes, I am going to finish this century, I conclude with the third and final point about our campus communications endeavors, and this is my favorite part. No, the caption of that is not go bald or go home. It's actually go bold or go home. But the truth is, it's a very crowded marketplace out there. So if you want to be heard, you really do have to be bold. You have to be innovative, nimble, and yes, I'll say it, just a little bit disruptive. Case in point, about a year ago, 60 Minutes aired a segment on Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Gates Scholars at Princeton University. In that segment, they had what I would say the nerve to tout Princeton as a national leader and innovator in providing upward mobility and success for first-gen students. The next morning, I did some digging, and I discovered that Princeton was, in fact, prepared to graduate 300 first-time students, while we at Cal State Fullerton were preparing to graduate 6,500 of the same first-gen students. So I gave 60 Minutes a piece of my mind in a letter to them. And when they didn't respond, I leveraged the power of bold communications through social media, something that presidents haven't had the chance to do in the past. And as you can see here, I didn't really need to do much. I simply tweeted, 60 Minutes aired this. I responded with this, with links to both the show and my letter. That tweet and the letter went viral nationally, particularly after it was retweeted by Beth Pop Berman, a CU New York sociology professor, and she gave the following comment. CSU Fullerton or any other Cal State campus does much more to promote social mobility than Princeton or any other Ivy. This letter from the president to 60 Minutes is fire. And then you can see those 3 fire emojis. I'm assured by my students that that's actually a good thing. Anyway, that tweet and those fire emojis received hundreds of thousands of impressions, and eventually my letter captured the attention of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who, if you remember, were the centerpiece of that 60 Minutes segment on Princeton. A few months later, I found myself at an Askew Summer Council of Presidents meeting, enjoying a PowerPoint presentation from, you guessed it, the Gates Foundation, when this slide came up with my letter in it. This prompted a quick meeting between myself and the Gates Foundation, and now I have a solid connection with Gates, and I'm working proactively to develop partnerships with them for Cal State Fullerton, but for the CSU more generally. Was putting 60 Minutes on a blast in front of the world disruptive or somewhat bold? I guess so. But before we did it, we ensured that everything in the letter tracked both the mission of the CSU and the 3 themes that we have for our marketing at Cal State Fullerton, and what our constituents want to hear from us. There were many other ways in which we use this bold, disruptive, and wild, creative ways to communicate our message more broadly. I mentioned this one earlier. And as corny as I was a rapper, if you listen to the lyrics of what is now the most watched video in Cal State Fullerton history, with more than 100,000 views, you hear CSU tenets and the 3 themes that we at CSUF promote. Another big takeaway from the rap is to remember to always have fun. Fun in any form of communication comes through to our audience, especially on video, and we made it a point to keep doing that, and it's working. Case in point, our University Award program this year, where we used green screens and some Hollywood magic to do a series of mock interviews with famous Titan alumni. Yes, Gwen and I hit it off really well. The resulting video not only played at our University Awards to rousing cheers from standing room only, it was also viewed more than 15,000 times across various social media platforms, further spreading Cal State Fullerton's message and Titan pride, not to mention the achievements of the University Award winners we were honoring. Of course, there are many more ways that we are standing out in what is a crowded marketplace. We constantly pitch stories to various media outlets that result in stories that are told around the world. All of it, from India West to the New York Times, begin and end with a synergistic relationship we share with the CSU and the Chancellor's Office. They are great leaders and support our message and the way in which we share them. And if you thought the Fullerton F on the side of the building on the front of the Chancellor's Office was proof of this synergistic branding connection between Cal State Fullerton and CSU, well, you're not going to believe how supportive Chancellor White has been. So I want to take this time to publicly thank Chancellor White for his indelible support of our communications endeavors and for wearing that awesome Titan tattoo. All kidding aside, of course, we cannot do the things we do or tell the stories we tell without the communications team at the Chancellor's Office who support and lead us. This is how we communicate the CSU synergy and the Titan swagger, and I want to thank everyone at University Relations and Advancement in the Chancellor's Office for both their leadership and their vision and support. Thank you, Vice Chancellor Ashley, for the opportunity to present with you. And if I still have a job after this, I look forward to answering any questions that you might have.
Thank you, President Vergy. You all job in Arton's office if you'd like. I can assure you of that. Thank you for sharing your perspective on the synergy that occurs between the Chancellor's Office and campus communicators. You and your team are great examples of that Titan swagger, of course. Chair Furstenberg, that concludes our presentation, and we welcome questions from you or the board.
Thank you all very much. Any of my colleagues want to comment? Hugo.
First of all, I want to thank the staff and all those that work on this. It's very quality media that's to be complimented. I just wondered to what extent you do any Spanish language in your presentations or outreach?
We do translate into Spanish when it's requested by the colleagues that we're working with in the campus. That's especially true for our How to Get to College campaign. We have all of that material in Spanish as well.
How about your website?
Robin, how much do we do in Spanish on the website?
The website is actually not translated into Spanish, but we do have in the Cal State Apply section some Spanish options.
Yeah, I just raise it because, probably in most metropolitan or large school districts, public school K through 12, and at least in most of California, 2/3 of our children K through 12, come from households where they don't speak any English. Parents, and in most of these cases, the majority of those parents do not speak English and speak Spanish at the home. So it was a great opportunity to reach the audience.
Great point.
So thank you.
If I could just ask Lauren, the How to Get to College poster and materials are in how many languages? Nathan?
Good question. I don't know, Nathan.
12 or 13, yeah. So at least at that sort of granular mechanical level, we are reaching out in multiple dialects. But your point's taken about the sort of the more public at large stuff. Yeah.
Trustee Morales, we've also on the outreach front for, I'd say, close to 10 years now, maybe more, annually co-hosted an education fair with Univision in which we provided extensive communications materials in English and Spanish, and that includes some on-air spots promoting on the television network leading up to the fair. So in the academic affairs side and the student outreach side, there's been some considerable efforts, but we'd be happy to look at expanding that even further.
Thank you so much.
Garrett, if I might also add, at Cal State Fullerton, we have the Latino Communications Institute, which is actually a live studio where we produce Hispanic communications in Spanish using our students, and that goes out into the marketplace, and it has a lot of content for not only Cal State Fullerton, but we try to represent the CSU in that respect as well. So it is a program for our students to learn communications and production, and also for the surrounding communities. And Univision is a great partner with that in producing that as well.
First of all, I really want to thank everyone at that end of the table. I think we have, these are communications people, so they know how to tell the story. And I think they did a very good job of sharing that with us. I have no doubt that in addition to FRAM, we have 22 other campuses that are telling their story equally effective. We do a great job. This document, this fact book, I think is the most important tool we have to let people know what is the CSU. And I give it to almost everybody I meet or know when I'm talking about the CSU, because it does its job. And if our lieutenant governor would take it to every place she goes throughout the state, we would get our message across. This document, which I think is absolutely spectacular, took a great deal of work. 12 presidents, I thank you, because I know it took a great deal of your time. But we've now documented this historic moment forever. And I give it to everybody I see. Anybody I have lunch with, they get it. And I urge you to do the same thing. My question to this board, we devote our energies in reaching Sacramento And we've been incredibly successful in that effort. That's where our priorities are in terms of communication. But I wonder if we're doing enough to get our message across California as a system, because I'm not sure Californians understand what the CSU is. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to. And I tell them about this chapter in my life and how exciting it is to sit at this table. And they say to me, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So my question to us as a system, as a board, and as 23 campuses, can we do a better job telling the system story about all of us? And, you know, I was so struck by the fact this is the first time the Board of Trustees has been told about what communications does. The first time. I just think we need to do more. We know how great we are. We just had the best example of that a half an hour ago, an hour ago. We need to have more people know that. It's incumbent upon us as we go into 2020, when we're going to try to do a bond issue. And our Lieutenant Governor said to us a couple of meetings ago, we need to tell the CSU story. And that's really why I asked Garrett and his team to put this incredible presentation together. And it wasn't easy. It's all there. We just need to make it a priority. Yes.
So, Madam Chair, since you called me out on this, let me just say that I do think it's such an incredibly compelling story, and I love this comparison with the Princeton story. And every single one of us in this room, all of our presidents, every graduate and supporter of the CSU system should just relish the comparison. And I was fortunate enough to be at Cal Poly Pomona last weekend for graduation. It is so incredibly inspiring to be with our students. I will say, I also think it's extremely helpful that we have a governor of California who sat on this board and understands very well. And I know that Lande Andrase is here as well, representing the governor's office, and she certainly knows how important the CSU is for social mobility and for everything that it contributes, because she advised me during my campaign and helped me have a greater understanding. Communication in a state of 40 million people isn't easy. And so I also recognize the incredibly important work that you all are doing on the communication side. And I really think that this bond initiative will be a great opportunity for us to really be able to get out there and tell the story. I have been visiting all of the CSU campuses and UC campuses, and I've seen deferred maintenance with my own eyes. There is no long-term plan other than this bond right now to really be able to address it. And if we don't address it, our ability to continue to be this world-class system of public higher education is going to be impaired. So I'll just use it as another opportunity to remind everyone what we have coming before us. It's still, and I'm sure we'll hear about it from the governmental committee, it's still very much in process, but it's a great opportunity for us to really be able to address this in a meaningful way.
Mm-hmm. Bravo.
Chair?
Well, just take a moment. I wanted to, I guess it'd be remiss, since 50% of my wheelhouse in my day job is communications and public affairs, so I probably should offer a perspective. But first, I would congratulate and compliment Chair Furstenberg for bringing attention to this. As you said, the first time we've had this presentation. So thank you for your tenacity and your laser-like focus. It's needed. And so stay on it for sure. And as we've talked offline, you have my full support. I also think it bears repeating, Garrett and your team. I mean, a presentation like this, as I lean over to the chancellor and highlighted just the snapshots to this for this publication alone. You know, people don't realize how many hours goes into this project, and this is one of dozens of projects you're working on day in, day out, through multiple media that is all coordinated and highly timed and targeted to be very strategic. And as Chair Furstenberg said, President Vergy, you have the benefit of being at the dais today with this presentation, and you yourself, I know I follow you on social media, and many others as well. But you've done a phenomenal job, but every campus has as well. And so, just want to reiterate the sense of importance. I think some people think communications is maybe superfluous or a luxury. I would absolutely argue that it's not. I think we've got a pretty lean shop doing phenomenal work. That's not easy to achieve those results. And it feeds not just, people may think it just feeds the ego, but it actually feeds the mission of the institution. And it helps us financially, whether we're targeting Sacramento, or it helps us legally, or helps us to prevent liabilities. It certainly helps us, as we've recently experienced, in emergencies. And as I visited Chico last week and was with the student who went through the wildfires, and I complimented President Hutchinson on her efforts and her team's efforts, it was brought back home to me how critical that communication link was, and the seamlessness with which they communicated to the community in the event of that fire and afterwards has literally saved lives. So I just want to reemphasize what's been said. And to the Lieutenant Governor's point, absolutely, this all serves many, many purposes, but the ultimate purpose, one of the ultimate purposes is to educate more people about the value of the CSU and the importance of that bond, because it will be critical to our future success. So compliments and kudos, and thank you, Chair Furstenberg.
That concludes our report.
Well, thank you for that meeting. So we are right on time. We will adjourn for lunch and reconvene at 1:15 p.m. for the Committee on Finance.